Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Hope you're fine and your Eid also went well. I know this is hard time and you couldn't go out to enjoy your Eid, but in present circumstances, it's really important for you to stay home and stay safe. Hopefully, everything will get back to normal soon. So after Eid holidays, now it's time to get back to your studies. So I'm here once again with another English lesson, and this time we are going to talk about grammar tenses. Do you think grammar tenses are wonderful? No? Well, okay, maybe not, but while they may not exactly be wonderful, they are certainly useful. After all, research tells us that studying verb tenses is a great way to learn the fundamental aspects of language. So we have to learn them by all means. So today we are going to start our grammar tenses by learning the present and past perfect tense. So first of all, we will be talking about present perfect tense. Here are a few examples. Let's read them and focus on the formation of the sentences here. The very first example is, I have cleaned my room. John has left for home. I have not eaten meal. She has not learnt a lesson. Has Ahmed bought a car? Have you seen Jack? The boy was very sorry for what he has done. And the last example is, did you like the movie Star Wars? I don't know, I have never seen that movie. Here are a few more examples. I have seen that movie 20 times. I think I have met him once before. There have been many earthquakes in California. People have traveled to the moon. People have not traveled to Mars. Have you read the book yet? After going through all these examples, we can say that present perfect tense refers to actions or circumstances that either happened indefinitely in the past, means we are not sure about the time in the past, or started in the past and continue to the present. For example, he has become impatient for the past hour. Present perfect tense is used to talk about actions that have started in the past and are connected to the present. Means they are still going on or the effect can be felt in the present. So you see, we use the present perfect to say that an action happened at an unspecified time before now. That exact time is not important. You cannot use the present perfect with specific time expressions such as yesterday, 1 year ago, last week, when I was a child, when I lived in Japan at that moment, that day, one day, etc. We can use the present perfect with unspecific time expressions such as ever, never, once, many times, several times, before, so far, already, yet, etc. Now, if we talk about the usage of the tense, we can say there are basically three uses for the present perfect tense. We can use it to state the past experiences or any change or the continuing situations. The first situation in which we use present perfect tense is to state the past experience. We often use the present perfect tense to talk about experience from the past. We are not interested in when you did something, we only want to know if you did it. For example, I have traveled to Dubai before. Now, when did you travel? This is not important. The time is not mentioned. We only know that you traveled before in the past. The second situation when we use present perfect tense is when we talk about a change or new information. For example, I have bought a car. It means last week I didn't have a car, now I have a car. So this is a change or a new information. The third situation in which we use present perfect tense is when we talk about a continuing situation. This is a state that started in the past and continues in the present, and will probably continue in the future too. This is a state, not an action. We usually use for or since with this structure. Here is an example. I have worked here since June. In this example, the situation started in the past, means in June. And I'm still working here, so it means it continues up to now. And it will probably continue into the future as well. So in this situation, the action has a connection with the past as well as with the present. Some further situations when we use present perfect tense are: number one, when we talk about recent events. It's used to describe recent events without a definite time. The idea of time or place in the speaker's mind makes the event recent. A time expression such as just, recently, or lately is used to emphasize the recentness of the event. Now, here is an example. Why are they so happy? They have just won a prize, so they're really pleased. Now, in this sentence, the time expression just shows the recentness of the event. Another situation when we use present perfect tense is when we talk about our personal experiences. It is used to express personal experiences and there is not a definite time given. The time expressions ever and never are very often used with this meaning. Here is an example. I have never been to Japan. Have you ever been there? Another situation when we use present perfect tense is to express actions that started in the past and continue to the present. The time period is not finished. We use for and since with this meaning. We use for with period of time and since with points of time. Here are a few examples. I haven't eaten since yesterday morning. I'm really hungry. I haven't drunk anything for 2 days. I'm terribly thirsty. Here are some further examples for the situation when an action started in the past and continues to the present. And the examples are: I have lived in this city for 6 months. She has eaten a pizza in that restaurant. They have taken a taxi to go to the mall. Another situation when we use present perfect tense is when an action happened before a time in the past. Here are a few examples. When I arrived at the office this morning, I discovered that I had left my computer on the night before. My mom had gone to the cinema and my dad had invited her to have dinner in a great restaurant. If we briefly describe all these situations, we can say we use present perfect tense for the following situations. Number one, unspecified point in the past. For example, I have been to Spain 3 times. The second situation is an action that occurred in the past but has a result in the present. For example, we can't find our luggage. Have you seen it? Now, the luggage was lost in the past. Do you know where it is now? This is the effect in the present. Now, the third situation is talking about general experiences by using ever or never. It usually refers to an event happening at some moment in your life. For example, I have never eaten monkey brains before. Another situation when we use present perfect tense is when we talk about events that recently occurred. Here is an example. Do you want to go to a restaurant with me? No thanks. I have just eaten lunch. Another situation is when we talk about events that have occurred up to now by using yet. Are Carlos and Rodrigo here? No, they haven't arrived yet. The next is events that occurred before you expected by using already. I have already graduated from university. Means I expected to graduate at a later date. The last situation is events that began in the past and haven't changed. We use for or since for this kind of situation. Here is an example. Mike has worked at Woodward for 3 years. It means Mike started working at Woodward 3 years ago and he still works there. Another situation is Julie has worked at Woodward since September last year. Means Julie began working at Woodward in September of last year and that hasn't changed. She still works here. Now we will talk about the formation of this tense. In present perfect tense, the past participle means the third form of the verb is used with has or have. Has is added with third person singular subjects as he, she or it, and have is added with the plural form of the subject like we, you, they, and plural nouns. Now here is a substitution table that may help you in understanding the formation of the tense. If you see this table carefully, there are 4 columns in it. The very first column is for the subject. The second one is for the auxiliary verb, means for has or have. The third column of the table is for the main verb, means the past participle or the third form of the verb. The last column is for the object of the sentence. Now, if you see this table carefully, have as an auxiliary verb is used for the plural form of the subject like you, we, they, and have is also used with I always. And has as an auxiliary verb is used with the third person singular subject like he, she, it, and single name like John. Now we can read the sentences in this table like this. For example, I have eaten an apple. You have eaten an apple, we have eaten an apple, and they have eaten an apple. Similarly, we can read it for the singular subject like he has eaten an apple, she has eaten an apple, it has eaten an apple, or John has eaten an apple. This is how you can form sentences in present perfect tense with the help of has and have plus past participle means the third form of the verb. Now, if we talk about the structure of affirmative, negative, or interrogative sentences in present perfect tense, we can say, first of all, the affirmative sentences or the positive sentences will be formed as subject plus has or have plus past participle. In case of negative sentences, not will be added after has or have. So the structure would be like subject plus haven't or hasn't plus past participle. And in case of interrogative sentences, has or have will be placed before the subject. So the structure would be like has or have plus subject plus past participle. Now let's see some examples for all these three types of sentences. So first of all, for affirmative sentences, it will be written as I have seen the film before, she has seen the film before. In case of interrogative sentences, you will change the sentences as have you seen the film before? Has she seen the film before? And if you convert the sentences into the negative form of the present perfect tense, they will be written as they haven't seen the film before. He hasn't seen the film before. Another very important thing you need to know is the usage of time expressions in present perfect tense. Here is a list of the time expressions that you can use in present perfect tense. So you need to pay attention to these words: just, ever, already, never, since, for, yet. Let's see some examples how each of these words are used in present perfect tense. First of all, we will talk about the usage of yet. We use yet to show that the speaker is expecting something to happen. Use yet only in questions and negative sentences. Here are a few examples. Has it stopped raining yet? Have you finished the homework yet? I have written the letter, but I haven't posted it yet. And if you see the example, that is for the interrogative and the negative, here is, have you taken a shower yet? No, I haven't taken it yet. The next time expression is already. We use already to say that something happened sooner than expected. So here is an example. Don't forget to post the letter. I have already posted it. What time is Mark leaving? He's already gone. So already is used for affirmative and interrogative sentences in present perfect tense. For example, I have already taken a shower. The next time expression is ever and never. The adverbs ever and never express the idea of an unidentified time before now. Have you ever visited Berlin? Ever is used in questions. Have you ever been to England? Has she ever met the Prime Minister? Now, ever can also be used in negative questions like haven't they ever been to Europe? Haven't they ever eaten Chinese food? Ever is also used with the first time in the meaning of first time. For example, it's the first time that I have ever eaten snails. This is the first time I have ever been to England. Never means at no time before now and is the same as not ever. I have never visited Berlin. You must not use never and not together. I haven't never been to Italy. That is incorrect. I have never been to Italy. Now, ever and never are always placed before the main verb. Now, here is an example. Have you ever ridden a horse? I have never ridden a horse. Here is another example. Have you ever seen a witch? No, I haven't. I have never seen a witch. Here are few more words which are commonly used in present perfect tense. These are lately, recently, for a while. For example, I haven't seen him lately. She has practiced tennis recently. You haven't tried it for a while. And there are few more, like once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, etc. We have fought once. She has traveled to Chicago twice. I have had a cold 3 times this year. Next, very important and commonly used time expression is since and for in present perfect tense. Using the present perfect, we can define a period of time before now by considering its duration with for, a period of time, or by considering its starting point with since, a point in time. For can also be used with the simple past. For example, she has lived here for 25 years. But since can only be used with perfect tenses. I have taught at this school since 2012. We use for to talk about a period of time, like for example, 5 minutes, 2 weeks, 6 years. And we use since to talk about a point in past time, like 9 o'clock, 1st January, Monday, etc. Here is a list of time slots that will help you understanding the usage of for and since as a time expression. Now, here are a few examples. The first example is, how long have you painted pictures? I have painted pictures since 2003. The next example is, how long have you grown flowers? I have grown flowers for 6 months. And the last example is, how long have you played the violin? I have played the violin for 5 years. The next tense we are going to talk about is the past perfect tense. Here is an example. I had eaten breakfast before I went to school. In this example, we can see that past perfect tense expresses the idea that something happened before an other action in the past. It can also say that something happened before a specific time in the past. When we talk about something that happened in the past, we actually want to refer back to something that happened before that time. We can use the past perfect tense by using had plus past participle, means the third form of the verb. The simple past tense is used when events are described in order in which they occurred. The past perfect tense in English is composed of two parts, the past simple tense as well as the past perfect tense. Now, if we talk about the structure of the past perfect tense, here is an example. He had already left when she called. In this example, you can see that had plus past participle is used. In past perfect tense, had is used for all types of subjects, means singular or plural. For negative form of past participle, we use had not plus verb past participle, or hadn't plus verb past participle. Here is an example. The teacher hadn't finished correcting papers when the students started to arrive. Here is an example for all the three types of sentences like affirmative, negative, and interrogative. First of all, the affirmative sentence, you had studied English before you moved to New York. Now, the interrogative form of the sentence, had you studied English before you moved to New York? And the negative form of the sentence is, you had not studied English before you moved to New York. Now, if we talk about the usage of the past perfect tense, we can say that it is used for an action in the past which was completed before an other past action in the past. It takes place before an other past action in the past. So, the structure for the sentence is subject plus had plus past participle. For example, he had lived in many different cities in Turkey before he settled down in Izmir. Here is another example. I had already spoken to Jack when I came here. In this sentence, you can see an action taking place before a certain time in the past. So we can say that past perfect tense is used for the completed action before something in the past. The past perfect expresses the idea that something occurred before an other action in the past. It can also show that something happened before a specific time in the past. Now, here are two examples that show completed action before something in the past. Number one, she only understood the movie because she had read the book. The second example is, I had never seen such a beautiful sunset before I went to Hawaii. Another situation in which past perfect tense is used is to show the duration before something in the past. So we can also use the past perfect tense to show that something started in the past and continued up until another action in the past. So here is an example. We had owned our car for 10 years before it finally died. The second example is they had been married for 5 years when they had their first child. The third situation in which we use past perfect tense is to show the specific times. In this type of situation, unlike the present perfect tense, it is possible to use specific time words or phrases with the past perfect. Although this is possible, it is usually not necessary. Here is an example to show the specific times in past perfect tense. However, you must remember that often we use simple past tense as well to show the specific times in past. So here is an example with past perfect as well as with simple past. You can see the difference. She has visited the US once in 2000 before she moved here in 2005. The same idea can be expressed in simple past as well. She visited the US once in 2000 before she moved here in 2005. Now, if we talk about the difference of past tense and past perfect tense, we can say that in past tense, you have a specific time phrase. For example, yesterday, last night, last week, few weeks ago, few hours ago. Whereas in past perfect tense, you don't have a specific time phrase because the time is not that important. Here is an example. She went to the market yesterday. In past perfect tense, you can express the same idea in this way. She had gone to the market before she went to school. I hope after this detailed explanation of present perfect tense and past perfect tense, you will be able to do your task successfully now. So your task is in the form of a worksheet that is attached with this lesson. You have to complete it and send it back. Wish you good luck for your task. See you in the next lesson. Till then, goodbye. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.